Hello, I'm Henry, and I'm doing Henry things, which usually involves Autoharps. And in this case, it also involves my new little amplifier. I've been trying it on, I have a dozen Autoharps. Only about 4 of them have pickups on them. So I thought I would try it out on some of my harps. And I am fiddling with the knobs off screen here to go and tweak the effects and stuff. I'll actually turn this one off. I'll turn that off so it sounds a little cleaner than normal. But this is what it's like. Oh, this is a special Autoharp. All of them are special. This one has 2 drone strings on it, and it has the kind of chord set that I like, which is over here is like a diatonic scale. Over here is another diatonic scale, but instead of being circle of fifths apart, this is like the minor version of this one. So this is a G, and that would make this a G minor, which is the same as B flat. So here we have, oh, does that sound like a G to you? Here, this probably sounds more like a G to you. But I like to throw a few more notes into it. That's actually a G major 9th, isn't it? Yes, it is. Thanks to these drone strings. There we go. These drum strings, they're drum strings because they're in, I think, every chord. I don't think I'd take them out even in some of the more, you know, places where they probably sound like they shouldn't be, like this guy here. Or this one. The cool thing about these very rich chords is you can just sort of pick 2 of them randomly and make a kind of scale out of it and play that scale. And also because some of these notes are only up in the top, it's the place where a color note should be, not in the bottom. Those scales can be a little different from the middle up to the top. So let's just pick 2 of these here, like, all right. There are a bunch of chords here that I should probably change. Like this. I really actually don't use that a lot. And this guy, while it's important, is also not used that much. But on the other hand, I do have this, which is the one that I usually substitute it with. And these 3 over here, Like, that one's important, but this one, and this one is very, very unimportant. So I may swap some of these chords out for different chords. But, you know, it's an ongoing process. What chords do you use in a thing that only has 21 chords? Well, it's 21, but a lot of these are like half belted, or I should say half notched. So, for example, this is nice and rich, right? There's a major 7th up there, and this guy has a 6th in it. Well, actually it doesn't, does it? That one does. If I push it harder, it dumps the extra color notes out of it. So I get a few extra notes out of this, a few extra chords. So if everybody likes the transition is very dramatic to go from over here to over here, but I can't do the usual circle of fifths kinds of stuff. So if a little more building up over here will give me a little more circle of fifths coverage in the key of G, which is where I am. Maybe I should do something else. I wonder what other songs I should play here. You know, I usually just play these chord progressions, and that's usually, oh, I should change features on this thing here. I can get a lot more psychedelic by cranking up the chorusing on here. That could be good. So, for example, there's a technique that I like to do with these. These are quilting thimbles instead of finger picks. They actually make fantastic finger picks. Why? They don't have the little holes in the bottom. They've got little tiny nails on the top. They have two little holders on them, two little bands on them to help you customize it for your finger sizes. They stay on pretty darn well. And this, of course, is my snake bite altered thumb pick, because when you're playing the high ones, the tip would be missing. So the bottom tip here plays the high notes, and this plays the top one plays the non-high notes. I'm so full of technique, I can't stop talking about it. I'm not moving my camera over this direction where you can see all of my other Autoharps. Or maybe I will. Ha ha ha! Yes, well, you can't see them, but they're all hanging in a rack over here. Oh, what's that down there? That's something else. That's what I call the Paramount Poneroos. We'll get to that in some other... I've already gotten to that in another video, but I might amplify it, in which case that'll sound super awesome. Ah, yes. So here's this other techniques you can do, right? Whacking sounds particularly good with a little reverb. working really well because I am using a nice Oscar Schmidt style full string transducer under here and not a piezo pickup. So it's picking up the sounds of the strings vibrating and not so much the squeakiness of the bars or the wackiness of my fingers. I highly suggest that. Although if you like also to add in the sounds of the picks and the squeaks, which are so much part of the culture of autoharpery, go to it. You can put another mic on, a little tiny acoustic mic, lapel mic. Some people do that. That works pretty well. So let's see. What can we play here? Something in a minor key would be fun, huh? And that can also be played over here. I've forgotten the name of that cadence, but that's where you go from the minor, where you've been playing, up into the major version of that key. You know, it's like... Anyway, lots of reverb. Lots of loudness. I can really crank this up if it's plugged in. Yeah. Anyway, that's my report for now. I'm going to go outside and play this thing, I think. So long.